So we are going to jump into our study of geometry this week, and a lot of this might be review for you, especially if you are a 5th or a 6th grader, maybe even a 4th grader. But we still want to review it because we're kind of rebuilding all of our resources that we would normally have in the classroom. We're rebuilding them at home. So even if this is a review for you, please watch it, and it is going to help guide your notes that you take. All right, so we are going to start today by going over lines and what the different parts of a line and ways that we are going to see lines being used. So I have a piece of string right here, and I could say that this string that I'm holding is a line. But I could also say that this is a line, and I could also say that this is a line, and I could also say this is a line. It's going off the camera. And if I could stretch my arms as wide as they could possibly go, this is a line too. And if my arms could stretch all the way out to infinity in either direction, I would still have a line. And the most important thing about lines is that they do go on and on and on and on forever in both directions. And that is what makes a line. Any line goes on and on and on forever and ever and ever in space in any direction. Okay. So right now I'm going to cut a piece off because I can't make this string go on for infinity. So we're going to have to use our imaginations. But I'm just going to cut a piece, and we are going to transfer over to our mat, and we're going to do a little bit of work with lines. So here I have a piece of our string, and we are going to imagine our plane of geometry. And for the edges, we can imagine that if anything goes off the edge of our plane of geometry, then it is representing that anything off the edge is going on infinity. So this piece of string right here, because the edges of it hang off the edge of our plane, this is a line that is going on and on forever in both directions. Now, in geometry, when we are trying to represent a line, we have a special way of doing that. We draw a straight line and we put 2 arrows at the end. And the 2 arrows at the end mean that it's going on forever and ever in either direction. Now, here we have a straight line. But just like we learned in our art lesson the other day, lines can also be curved, right? And so if I want to make a curved line, it can curve up like that. But because, again, it's going off the edge of my plane of geometry, it's going on forever in both directions. And we would say now that we have a curved line. Now there's some other terms that we need to have in order to continue our study of geometry and go a little bit further. So we're going to dive into those. I am going to take a red marker really fast, and I'm going to make a line right about here. I could have made it anywhere, it doesn't matter. I'm going to go all the way around. And now I am going to cut my line right on that red point. And now that I've done that, I no longer have a continuous line. By cutting on that point, I've created something else. I've created what we call, grab my pencil here, I've created what we call a ray. And a ray is related to a line in the sense that it goes on and on forever in one direction. As we can see right here, it's going off the edge of our plane. However, it does not go on and on forever in the other direction. It has what we call a point of origin. And I always like to make my point of origins red just to kind of make them stand out a little bit. But a ray has a point of origin, and then it travels on forever in the other direction. By cutting my straight line in half, I actually created 2 rays. This one has a point of origin here, but it's traveling on and on forever in the other direction. We're going to be working a lot with rays this year when we work with angles. Now, finally, there's one other thing that we need to know. If I were to take, I'm going to get another straight line, another piece of string, and it's going to hang over
on either way. So right now I definitely have a line because it's stretching to infinity on either direction. But this time, I'm going to make 2 dots and I'm going to make them black. Hope you can see these. Black marker is not quite as powerful as my red marker. All right, I have 2 black points and I am going to cut on both of these this time. And by doing that, I have created something totally different. I no longer have a ray, I no longer have a line, I have a piece of a line. And it has a very clear endpoint on either side. It cannot stretch all the way to infinity. And so when we have a very clear endpoint on either part of our line, we call this a line segment. Segment is just a fancy schmancy word for piece. So right here we have a piece of a line or part of a line, but because we have these 2 points, we call these endpoints, it can't go on forever. And so we just have a line segment. Right now, your job is to get out your math journal and you are going to use my page of notes that you have a picture of in your assignment to take your own page of notes and then turn that in.